Welcome to Toffee TV. It's the Tuesday topic here on Patreon. There's lots and lots of things we could be discussing with a Merseyside derby coming tomorrow, off the back of the Leicester games. This feels like there's just too much going on at the moment. And that might be one of the reasons why Marco Silva still has a job. But the question is, when will be the right time to sack him? Or why hasn't he been sacked yet? Or is there a right time to sack him? Well, clearly there is.
I mean, it's a tough one for the simple reason that the club have obviously came out last week and backed them, so to speak, Marcel Brands the other day, before the weekend. But you can only do that for so long. You know, we get beat at Liverpool. It'll be 9 defeats in 15 games. We took 7 points out of the last 30. Spent £100 million in the summer.
Yeah.
He's lost as many as he's won. We've never won from going behind and blah. They're all there. The records are all there.
Yeah.
We scored 14 goals in 14 games, which is pathetic, considering we've got
14 points.
We've got quite an offensive looking side at times. We've got probably more attacking options than we've ever had, and we're not scoring anywhere near the goals. So, you know, when you think back to like when Rom was here, we had Rom and Ross Barkley at way in with a couple.
Yeah.
Didn't have much after that. And we used to say, if we could get a couple of midfielders who could score or whatever. We've got wingers and everyone who scores goals now, and yet we don't score goals. So the real issue for me is that I felt once he kind of survived Monday last week after Norwich, we were looking ahead and we were doing the live shows, and it was a case of 2 games that quite easily could be chalked off as defeats. We've lost the first one. Chances are we'll lose the second one. Did any manager want that on their record? So that's one. That's kind of one train of thought.
Yeah.
The other one is they were so far down the road with David Moyes, and I've seen it again. But fans don't want him, so the club have got cold feet. That, to me, is worrying, if that's a situation. Is that you're siding away from who you thought might have been a safe pair of hands for now, because some fans aren't happy with it. When we braved it with Sam Allardyce, who no one wanted. What's happened there, do you know what I mean? So, I suppose the big thing in all of this is, does Marcel Brands want to sack him? Does he believe in him? Fans mightn't. But the more games he loses, the argument to keep him, it gets thinner and thinner and thinner.
And then once that happens, you have to start questioning those people then. And it's not just a case of Marco Silva. It becomes a case of Marcel Brands and who else, Mashiri, and who else is making the decisions at the club, at the top of the club, and it becomes. I've seen Phil McNulty writing about it, and he's scathing, absolutely scathing about it. And when you hear when you see that Marco Silva will be in charge for this game and will be in charge for that game, and you think to yourself, well, is this what we're going to do every game? What happens if we go to Anfield and we get a point? Does he get to be in charge of the Chelsea
I don't know about you. I'm getting fed up with Everton losing. I'm getting fed up with this same conversation every week about the manager. For whatever reason, people don't like him anyway. The press don't like him. You established that early on. Game-wise now and defeats-wise, I can understand why a lot of fans want him out. Fair enough. I actually don't think we played that badly on Sunday in the defeat at Leicester, but it's gone. You're right, it's kind of gone so far now that it almost seems inevitable. And I almost think the club needs a period where, if it was David Moyes, for argument's sake, you'd go, well, he's here till May. Now we know he's here till May. So that issue would just be thrown out the door almost. You kind of go, well, that's the manager till May. Same as with Allardyce, it was like, he's the manager now till the end of the season, just let's get through it. It takes away it puts the spotlight back on the players. You see, the problem we've got at the moment is the spotlight isn't on our players. No. So our players keep making mistakes. The spotlight is on the manager. The manager's standing there having to take it all.
Yeah.
Now, some of it, you might say 90% of it's his fault. I would say at least 50% of it's his fault, 60% of it's his fault, right? There's other factors as well. Marcel Brand's not getting the centre-back and the striker, but players as well letting them down and letting themselves down. So when a manager's losing, like Spurs for the last few weeks before they got rid of Pochettino, all the heat was off them players who were underperforming. It was all on Pochettino. Yeah. You know, as it happens with footballers, doesn't it? Yeah. So if we did replace him with someone like David Moyes, for argument's sake, because he's just one that's been touted around, all the spotlight then goes back on the players. Yeah, it's on Moyes because can he turn it? But it's back on those players to perform, which is normally why you get the new manager bounce and you get this, that and the other. And I just think Everton in need of a lift. And I don't think that this manager can do it.
I think it's a lift, but it's also the circus has got to leave town. You know, the whole will he or won't he, week to week, game to game needs to change. And but you know, the club now have had over a week to identify somebody, and it's whether they're actually talking to anyone or they've approached someone or are there plans to replace the manager after the derby. That's the more worrying thing, is that is it going to be a case that if the derby comes and goes, you've only got Thursday and Friday and you've got a game Saturday, and then there's next week, which you've got a full week heading into Old Trafford, and then and then it's just there isn't a good time to sack a manager, especially at this time of the year. But these are the things that clubs should plan for, you know, an out strategy. And I know there's no, we've sat here and I've sat here in various international weekends and thought, well, this could be a good chance. You know, we've seen Tottenham sack Pochettino during the international weekend because that's the best time to get somebody in, to get a few days with his players, just let everything settle down, let everyone get used to the fact. But Everton don't have that luxury now. They've got to make a change. Got to make a change no matter what. And they've just gone about things completely the wrong way as far as I'm concerned. But I don't know what was for the best, because after the Norwich game, they could have done it there and then, and they would have had a week. They could have had a week to get someone in, even if it was just for 2 games, whether it be Duncan Ferguson or whoever, David Unsworth, whoever, just for a couple of games and gone out and set to themselves. By the time the Chelsea game comes, next time we're at home, we're going to have a new manager. For the rest of the season, that is it. And they haven't. Well, we could possibly, but I don't know. Would it have made any difference? Does it make any difference?
I don't. It's. You're looking at those 2 games and you're thinking 2 very, very tough away games. Probably couldn't handpick 2 worst games at the moment.
Well, top 2.
The top 2, and we've almost nicked the point at one of them. And I think, to be honest, I think we probably deserved the point the way we played. Did. But we've lost the game ultimately, so it's irrelevant. And now we're going to Liverpool, and listen, even if we would won 6 games on the run, we'd be thinking, all right, we can win there, but it's a tough game. Yeah. It's a horrible place for us to go. We don't do very well there, and chances are we'd lose the game anyway. So if you're a manager, you mightn't want that, but then you have to look at it from a club perspective and go, well, even if they lose those 2 games, you've got that amount of time to get your points across to players, so that when we step out against Chelsea, the ideas are clear. I don't know what they should. You'd like to think that if you were a chairman or a director of football, that you would look and go, like, he's struggling. Baz is struggling now. We need to start thinking about replacing him. And I'm talking about a few weeks ago. So who's available? Is he available? Is he available? Is he available? And chase people up on it. If it's Rafa Benitez, John Barnes has done a piece today, so yesterday it was rather, saying he'll go there. I can see him at Everton. And
he was on Bein Sports.
Well, is that what it was? Right,
he was on Bein Sports. Andy Gray said he didn't want him because which was oddly Andy Gray said. And Andy Gray said they need someone exciting. you know, he's a pragmatist. I mean, I think that's exactly what we need.
He said he'd watched Newcastle and he was terrible, didn't he? And they were. But he's been have better players at Everton, wouldn't he, for a start? But listen, I'm not saying we shouldn't get him. I'm just saying. So say it's Andy Gray, say it's Rafa Benitez. You know, can we get him? Eddie Howe's being touted. All right, if it's Eddie Howe, can you get him? Does he want to come? I don't know whether that's jumping out the frying pan and into the fire with another manager who's, you know, Wigan, Southampton, Watford, and then it'd be Bournemouth. Where are Everton trying to go? You know, well, maybe it'd be better to get Moyes in and just say to Mikel Arteta, if that's who they want, then, you know, start think. I know you're doing your job at City, but try and catch some Everton games and have a look at some players who, you know, look at the system and what you think you might need for the summer so that we can hit the ground running. You know, and Arteta might be open to that. Arteta might be open to it now, but I doubt it. But
I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on that, simply because Arsenal, there's talk of Arsenal looking at him as well, going back to him. I've seen Alan Smith talking on Sky saying he's the person he'd go for. And they don't. There's a lot of, you know, Arsenal approach him. There's a lot of people who'd like to see him go to Arsenal. They don't seem to have any fear going for Arteta, and you just think that maybe he might be looking at that and thinking, well, maybe the time's now. If there's 2 or 3 clubs who are interested in me, maybe the time's now. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. And the thing about it is, what worries me more than anything, the club must be keeping whatever's going to happen ridiculously close to their chest, because there's no firm favourite. There's no, you know, there's different stories. We have to look at the Sunday papers to see that Eddie Howe, you know, it was mentioned, Ferguson, Temporary, Moyes had been put to one side, and you're thinking there doesn't seem to be a clear strategy here coming out of the club. But you know, they can keep it as, you know, quiet, obviously.
I don't think the manager seems convinced either that he's staying.
No, I mean,
he asked him yesterday, and he was like, he said, are you going to be in charge for the derby? And he said, I can't tell you that, but I'll be in work tomorrow planning for it. So it's not, and he said, we've got another meeting Tuesday, I think, and tomorrow. They're not going to sack him tomorrow, I don't think. So, sorry, not going to sack him before the derby, because why would you now with no time to do anything? No. So, but then again, if Everton are to lose the derby, how can you stay?
Yeah, and then there's no time. This is what I'm saying. Then there's no time after the derby, and we're going into a game that we could win on Saturday against Chelsea.
See, that's why for me,
that's a winnable game.
I would probably put Duncan in charge on Friday, so he'll take training, knows the players anyway, take training, and then let him pick the side for Saturday. And with the crowd, you'd get a bounce from the crowd, because it'd be something different. They'd get behind the players. The players would have to go out and show them metal. I don't think Duncan's not a shrinking violet, is he? So, you know, I think he'd want a few of them getting stuck in at the weekend. And
couldn't get any worse, could he?
Well, listen, you'd either do nothing. You know, it's the old insanity thing again, isn't it? Keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. I just don't see any way we'll get out of Anfield without a result. Now, listen, it's football, so anything can happen 11v11, but it's unlikely we're going to get in out of Anfield. But if the club have decided he's not the right man, then regardless of what happens at Anfield, shouldn't matter, because he's not the right man. But the biggest problem we have, and he has as a manager, he said himself the other day in his press conference, and he's like, you ask me the same question every week. You know, he said, I remember you asking me players after or before the Wolves game, is the manager under pressure? It was the 3rd game of the season. So that narrative has been spun all the way through his tenure.
Said if people don't like him. Said this, people don't like him. And there's a reason the media don't like him. It's because he doesn't tell them anything. Said this one day. Said this.
And they're powerful, aren't they? Whether we like it or not.
Because at the end of the day, right, the media look at the situation and go, you scratch my back, I scratch. You know, it doesn't. I've said this from day one, and the club have not done anything to help. They could have done something very, very recently, but they decided they didn't. It wasn't maybe the right time.
Yeah. Well, that's the listen. They've let the manager down, in my opinion.
Well, then this comes back to, though. What I would say is, though, this comes back to having someone in Everton's media last year who wasn't good at his job and didn't and still doesn't, and I don't think will ever understand the world we live in now in media.
No.
Not a clue. And therefore, if you don't understand it and you don't embrace it, you know, how can you go forward with that? We're starting to see, listen, what I would say is from the media team, we're starting to see a few more steps, but it must be difficult to take those steps when your manager's under pressure. And also, you don't want to ever make your club out and be making, you know, seen the other day, a kid on Twitter put out that video from, was it 4 years ago now? The Martinez Christmas video.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so,
when you were doing like Bleak Christmas.
Remember when everyone was dead happy and did it Bring Me Sunshine
and all that, yeah.
They all looked dead happy. And
Myers was there.
Myers was there and Philip Carter's on at the end and all that kind of thing. Because we were happy, we were buoyant. The club were very united. At that time, we'd had a great start to the season under Martinez. And you can do things like that because everyone's... Yeah. And you will lose the odd game, of course you will. But everyone's... This is the thing, isn't it? When you're a united club, you will lose games of football, but you lose them together, and you don't all start going pointing fingers at this and that. I remember, I've said it loads of times, I remember Boxing Day when we got beat by Sunderland 1-0, and we did everything to win that game, and it was only our first defeat of the season.
It wasn't.
Second defeat. It was only our second defeat.
Yeah, something like we'd hardly lost, had we? We weren't unbeaten at Christmas, mate. Not a chance.
Who beat us then? I'm trying to think.
I'll think in a minute, but definitely.
It was only like our second defeat.
There you go.
I looked at it the other day. It was only like our second defeat. Anyway, come out of that game and you're like, oh, we, you know, played well there. It's football. We poxy moment in the game. They've got. Wasn't it a penalty? Was it a penalty?
Yeah, I think he went down.
Tim Howard brought him down, didn't he?
Sent off, didn't he?
Poxy game, battered them at 10 men, dead unlucky. You're together, and so you can do stuff, and that's what it's like when you're together. As a football club, you've got that unity. We haven't got that at the moment, but a lot of that comes from winning games, of course. It comes from winning games of football, but it comes from like the media and how your manager portrays himself, and that was in that time. Martinez hadn't quite started drinking the Kool-Aid yet, so he was quite reasonable, whereas Silva hasn't done that. And he hasn't done it. People around him haven't done it. They haven't pushed him to do that. There's no one forceful at the club. There isn't an Alan Myers. I know we've said this a million times. There isn't an Alan Myers to grab hold of a manager and say, come and do this. It'll work for us. There's loads of that kind of thing behind the scenes not going on. So ultimately, the media don't like him, and they won't try and put him in the best light. They'll always try and put him in the worst light. And that's where we are now. And
I just look at it and think, you can't continue to have the same conversation every week. No. So every game, it can't be, if he wins it, he's kept his job. If he loses it, he's gone. You can't have that every week because there's no stability there. It's destabilising everything, because then you're allowing people to feed that kind of narrative. Whereas if they do make the choice, and you have to look at it and go, Watford have just sacked their second manager of the season because, all right, the bottom, but they've sacked them because they're not getting results. We're not getting results. 7 points out of 30. It's horrific. It's a terrible return when we haven't played anyone. Okay, we've had Leicester and City recently, but Leicester and Tottenham recently, and City within that run, but the other 7 teams are nothing. You know, we're not really big, you know, great sides, whatever.
It's the half of the season.
So you'd have to look at it and go, right, we can't keep throwing games away going, oh, hopefully he'll turn it round, because there's no evidence that it's going to go anywhere. And so therefore you'd have to sometimes go, listen, Marco, it's just not your time. Things have gone against you as well as everything, and you're just not the right fit for whatever reason. And not that he hasn't worked hard, because he has. It's not that he hasn't wanted to succeed, because he has, but it isn't happening. So you have to try to get that boost. And whether you go to Arteta and you throw money at him, if that's who you want, if that fits with brands, I don't know how I feel about that at the minute. But what he would do is he'd have a lot of Evertonian backing for him.
What I would say is, though, the longer it goes on, it completely undermines brands, Because I remember when we got Brands and we were saying, well, whatever happens with the manager, it doesn't matter. Because these players are Brands as players, and it should just be a case of one manager goes out and another manager comes in. But it doesn't feel like that at the moment. It feels like, it just doesn't. It feels like more bigger than that. Like, it will destable the club. Like, we're looking at saying managers, we can't have that because it will destable, or we can't bring him in. Like, it should be that the case should be that we should be able to bring in a young manager because everything else should be built round, but nothing else has been built.
Not, is it?
And everything's been built on sand. This is the thing with Silva, I find as well, is that if you go on game by game and you're saying, oh, you know what, you win that game, then it's not built on anything real, is it? It's built on what happened this week, and what happened this week might be, can't build off that, can you? Your team you play might have injuries, or there might be a decision in the game that goes your way or the other way. They're not things that build.
It can't be helpful for him, can it?
No, it can't be,
because he knows.
It can't be helpful for his players.
He knows that he's under pressure quite clearly, because his language has changed over the last few weeks. What he's saying is different than what he was saying a month ago.
Yeah.
The players will read it, whether you tell them not to, or they know what's going on. And people who are out the team will be happy with that and making remarks and this, that and the other. Not saying the team didn't play for him, because I think they did have a go at Leicester for him, but that's the way. It's too little too late, isn't it? Because we're so far down the road of losing games of football that we need a fresh pair of eyes on it. And the biggest problem is there doesn't seem to be any decision at all. There doesn't seem to be. It's Mikel Arteta he wants. You know, people are saying Eddie Howe. Well, is it Eddie Howe? Well, if it's Eddie Howe, go and say to Bournemouth, how much do we have to pay you for him? If it's Arteta, go all out for him and say, like, we want you. If it's not either of them, and you're looking around going, who should we take? Go and get David Moyes, who's out of contract now, and all right, he might say, well, I want longer than that. Well, give him not a lot of wages and give him a bit longer, you know what I mean, and just sack him if he doesn't do it. But make a decision, because the longer it's hanging and we're losing games, we're going to get to a stage where we have to win every other game. And we're giving ourselves a mountain to, all right, I still think we will comfortably finish halfway up, because there's a lot of teams who are poor. And if we got it right now, we could still finish even higher than that. The problem is, if we just keep writing games off, going, see how we get on next week, no one can get any rhythm, no one can get any momentum, and I'm talking about the fans as well. We're all sat in limbo, all of us going, what do you think will happen this week? Will he sack him this week? Well, that's not good for anybody. Your manager shouldn't even come into it. You should just be thinking, Chelsea at home, got Liverpool away, we should be going there going, we haven't won there for 20 years. Brighton have just nearly got a point there. Brighton, come on, dig in, let's see what we can get. And we're going there going, well, like, you know, we're on a downer, we're losing this game, losing that.
But we're not even looking at the derby, are we? We're looking past it.
We're looking past it and
going,
will he be gone?
We're looking past it and going, what's going to happen the day after when we lose? It's some nonsense to that. And it's not, it's of his making because of the results. But it's not of his, you know, he's not going to resign, is he? No manager's going to resign. Why would he? Why would you resign? You're basically saying to the world, I can't do this job. So he's not going to resign. Managers don't resign. But Everton haven't got the bottle to sack him because... But then what does that tell you about what's going on behind the scenes? You know, in their efforts to get a new manager. I'm at a situation now where I really don't have any confidence in the people who run Everton anymore. I always did. I always thought with the things Moshiri, it's dead easy to say. Well, when people say, well, what's he done? You can go, well, you know what? Paid off the debt and he's got us going on a stadium. They're all business decisions, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's all planning for a business. Paying off debts isn't hard when you're a billionaire and you know how to work the system to get round, because you know that actually you're saving money even by controlling the debt.
Yeah, it's just that.
Because you're not paying interest and all the rest of it. And he's an accountant, he knows how to do that. The stadium is the big thing, because if we get a stadium, he can then sell the club, which I imagine is what he would do or try to do. Would sell it on to someone else and take his profit, because he's enabled Everton to get a stadium, the thing that has always been holding them back. But it's those day-to-day decisions as a football club that, okay, he said to Marcel Brands, go and do that. But then if you've said to someone, go and do that, you've got to allow then that person to go and do everything else with the club. And that doesn't seem to be happening.
Say, Mashiri's like that to Brands, though. We want to sack him. And Brands is going, no. I know that he'll turn it around. Do you know what I mean?
But that goes into that point I've just said, is that that's fine. But it's not fine. But are there other barriers at the club preventing Marcel Brands from doing his job to the full and Marco Silva doing his job to the full? And that's what I'm saying. It's like you either allow someone to do everything, or then you are nitpicking. And what if you're not allowing them to do one thing? Then why are they going to have full control over who's the manager?
I just think if it was solely Mashiri, he'd have sacked him by now.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe so.
Unless because he was his choice, he's trying to give him as much opportunity as possible. But I just think, I'm just thinking, I wonder if Brands is like, just let's give him another couple of weeks, see what happens.
But like you've just said, though,
you can't.
This is my... People keep on saying to me, well, there's only a third of the season gone. Yeah, that's fine. There's a little bit more now. By the time we get through this game, and then the next game, and the next game, the next thing, half of the season will have been gone. And like you've just said, if you haven't picked up points, then you go from having to win every 1 in 3 to having to win every other one. And that creates a pressure that I don't think our players can deal with. And when I talk about being in a relegation fight, that's why. You can sit there and say, well, we've got the players, our players are better than those players. It's how your players deal with the pressure of having to get away, having to win the 8-9 games that they need to. That starts now.
I mean, we're going in, after Liverpool, we've got Chelsea at home, which is winnable. Tough, good side, but it's winnable, it's a home game. United away, capable of getting at least a point there. They're like us, garbage. Arsenal at home, they're very beatable. Burnley at home, very beatable. Newcastle away, capable of at least a point there. So the next 5 games after Liverpool, we could pick up, say, 11 points, right? I mean, that might be an over-exaggeration.
Well, I think we should be coming out of December with 10 points.
Yeah, okay, so 10 points, right, from them 5 games before we have to play Man City on New Year's Day. So that 10 points, then if we got 10 points, puts us mid-20s, that's not too bad. We can deal with the second half of the season, then it's a 3 or 4 wins till the end of the season, and you've got what you need. I mean, we should be aiming much higher than that, but it takes a lot of the heat off. But the longer it goes on, you're losing game by game by game by game.
Confidence.
You know, if Liverpool beat us on Wednesday, that's another 3 defeats on the run. So another block of games that have come and gone. Now, okay, maybe we expected 3 points out of the 9, but Norwich beat us. So unless we beat Liverpool, we're down on what people probably would have give us, and it's unlikely to beat Liverpool.
We've got to win 1 every 3.
Exactly. So that's gone. That block of games are gone. We're going into the next, where I actually think we can win 2 of the next 3. But if the conditions are right, because we haven't got our perfect team, because we haven't got the midfield. So what we have to do is we have to be solid, and we have to have other people playing well, and he might have to mix that team up.
The crowd.
But the crowd
and
engaged.
You need all those things.
But imagine if we get beat. Say we get beat 3-0 tomorrow night by Liverpool, which is, not beyond the realms of possibility, could be even more. And it's the same again Saturday. So he's in charge still Saturday. We've just been tonked by Liverpool. And everyone's
toxic
going.
Atmosphere.
Everyone's like, well, if we lose this, is he going to get sacked? Because what I'm seeing more and more people go, I hope we lose that. I seen a lot on Sunday going, I hope Leicester beat us because that's him gone. And you're like, it won't be though, because there's 2 games tight. Yes, if it was Leicester away and then Chelsea at home next Saturday, he may have gone the next day. But if we need to get into Goodison next Saturday and everyone be like, come on, they need us today.
Yeah.
And if the worst comes to worst, we get a point. We don't lose the game. We dig in, but the crowd can pull us through. Chelsea have lost Abraham at the moment, who's been on fire for them. So they're not firing on all cylinders themselves. They're a good side, and it'll be a difficult game. But with the crowd, we know we can beat. We beat them last season when they were playing well, and we weren't. We beat them at home because the crowd got engaged, and we had to hang on for the opening 25 minutes. So it can happen. But if we run in from the derby and everything's the same at the weekend, Goodison's going to be either flat or, like you said, it's not going to take much for it to turn. Last home game, I've never heard our fans singing "Getting sacked in the morning" to one of our managers.
Exactly.
So the club have to take responsibility.
You'd have 2 games in a row where your fans are against your manager.
Because
that
they
can't
want
go
them.
on. That can't go on, and
Berserk.
that can't go on. So it needs to be addressed. Just depends whether it is. And
who would you? I know you're going to say Rafael Benitez, like, but just say we couldn't.
I'd take Moyes for the rest of the
Would
season.
you?
Yeah, I think.
What do you think of Eddie Howe?
No, why are we're looking? Not saying we're looking down because we're obviously looking up, but you just.
They haven't won a game in it. They've won 1 and 8, haven't they?
1 and 8. You're saying the same thing again, aren't you?
He might get it right. He might not.
You know.
Done a great job at Bournemouth, but last time he left there and went to Burnley, it didn't work, and he went back where he's comfortable, and he's done brilliantly for them. But could be a great manager, but he could be the same.
He doesn't inspire me.
No. I think Duncan could maybe do it, but with someone. I think Arteta could unite the crowd, or certainly a big portion of it. But are you comfortable with him coming in now?
What's that?
Yeah.
Yes and no.
Or are you a bit worried?
I'm naturally worried. Naturally worried about the situation because I just don't think we're a very good team. I really don't, and that comes from.
But a different voice might help.
No, I know, but that to me comes from. I look at it from the angle of players doing the basic things that I think you don't teach. It should be in them to do the basic things to grind out points. Would an Arteta be able to do that? Listen, there's still plenty of the season left, but it can't be like a vanity project where you go, oh, I've got loads of time to sort that out. We haven't got time to sort that. We need wins now to give us that cushion to go on from, but they have to be like instantaneous wins. That's why people got annoyed with Allardyce, because he did come in and give us those wins, and then there was a chance to change things and he didn't. And that's where it went flat for him. He was a victim of his own not success, one-dimensional.
Well, he had 40 points in February, Allardyce.
No, it was a bit later than that.
But when we beat Stoke, I'm
March,
sure it was like, it was at the end of February, March, and he could have took it on.
Yeah.
He could have then gone, well, we're safe. But I'll take it on, and he didn't. He carried on doing what he did. Because
if this team is as good as some people think this team is, a good manager should be able to come in, grab hold of it, and take it forward, and get us wins that take us up. If it's as good as it... The worry is if someone came in and went, Jesus, this isn't a good team. I've got more work to do. And that's the problem for the board, how they look at the team. Does Brands look at the team and go, no, this is a good team. I'll go and get a good manager, and a good manager will get us wins, and wins get us up the table. And you know, relegation is only a thing that happens in May. That's how you look at it. It's whether you take that...
I think he probably, listening to him the other day, he was talking like that.
But there is players,
that this is a better team than what's showing, and we'll don't pan now. It's not the time to panic and blah, blah, blah. I would rather them take David Moyes now, if they can get him, because he might not fancy it if it's only short term. But take David Moyes, although I'd be saying to David Moyes, well, if you get this right, you're going to get a job from it. But take it, because I don't want them to panic a decision and just bring in Eddie Howe if he's not the right man. If they can get a better manager or a better fit for the club, take your time.
What I would say is, I think Marco Silva is not a very good manager. I think he might be a good coach, but I don't think he's a very good manager. I think tactically he's very, very poor. I think his subs are very, very
it's
poor.
In-game management.
In-game manager, he doesn't struggle. He's terrible at it. There's no lads, let's cut through the shite here. He's terrible at it. Absolutely terrible at it. He set up a team really well for Leicester. Set them up brilliantly. Probably done all that in the training ground. Brendan Rodgers made one sub, it was gone, right? His track record proves that. His track record, he's a dull man. He wouldn't inspire me to play for him. He really wouldn't. And if he's not allowing other people to inspire them, like Duncan, then... So, it might just be a case of, he goes... We've seen it with Mourinho and saying about Pochettino. From the outside, Pochettino seemed like a very charismatic man who... there was a stern exterior, but actually might have been funny. Whereas people were saying he wasn't like that. He was hard all the time.
No music in the dressing
No
room
music and all that. And players suddenly free up. It's their job, by the way. They've got to do that every single day. They're also on call. Footballers are on call as well. They're literally on call all the time. Day off tomorrow? No. For 9 months, it's your life. You can't do anything. You can't do anything for 9 months. Or 10 months even. That's your job for 10 months. That's why they go on holiday for a month. Because it's your job any day. Oh, you're off tomorrow? No, you're not. Oh, you had something planned? Doesn't matter. You're in. That's football. But I had a... No. There's not you. So, if you've got a fella that you really start to dislike, you are naturally just going to switch off from him. And it's not a case of like, oh, I want this fella sacked. It's just, you stop listening and it gets boring. And as footballers, you probably go, this isn't working. This is not working. We're doing this wrong. But he's told me to go over there. Self-preservation, I'll go over there. Don't have leaders anymore at football clubs who go, behave yourself. This is how we're going to do it. Because you're undermining the manager, and the manager...
So therefore you have to recycle the team regularly to be able to get away with it, don't you?
As a manager, I think, yeah. If you've got a manager... And that's been the Spurs' problem. But recycling players doesn't seem to be an issue at Everton, does it, in the last 3 years? Recycling managers doesn't seem to be an issue either. But we've got to get someone in now, a fresh voice, who, if these players are good players, then they'll respond. And if Brands has bought them and he's as good as he says he is, or as good as we think he is, then they will respond. So I don't know. I'm thinking, oh, we just need to go and be pragmatic. But maybe they're thinking, no, we don't. We do have good players. And I've got the data to back it up, or I've got this to back it up, or that to back it up. And that, at the end of the day, that comes down to them. So, I don't know. We'll wait and see. We haven't really got any further with this ourselves. We don't know, do we?
Well, it's because it's mixed messages from the club. Yeah. So no one knows where it is. It's just there's a lot of smoke now that he's going to be sacked. So therefore, when that normally happens,
smoke though, he should be sacked.
Well, it's a matter of listen.
It's not even a matter of opinion anymore.
No. What I was going to say was it's a case of when, not if.
Yeah.
So, probably.
But if you got, like we've just said though, if you go into those 5 games after the derby with a fresh outlook and a fresh impetus,
you can get points.
And
it gets you out of trouble. Allardyce did it, didn't he? He won the first 3 games or something. We were out of trouble. Yeah. That was it. It was done.
And then said Chelsea at home, getting a draw today. Yeah. They're not scoring. I'm getting a draw. It's another point. We're getting another point.
It was done. There was no danger. Then it was how high can we get? That was what it was, and we blew games we shouldn't have done, and we almost ended up 3 points off Europe, 4 points off Europe, from a position where people said was like, we're in now, because the Premier League isn't very good.
And the mad thing is, is that this literally was the time last year where it all felt a bit for us. Defeat at Anfield, draw West Ham, Watford and Newcastle, and then Spurs game, and
City.
It all started to unravel. Now we only won 3 games in 3 months, right? Now, so if we could flip that round and start winning games over the next 3 months, then we could come out of it. Back end of February, next international break, we could come out of it around the same place or even better than we were. But it needs to happen now. Because if it doesn't happen now, then the rest of the season is going to be
a slog, isn't it?
It's not even going to be a slog. It's just going to be like stress. And I don't need that. I don't need that in my life.
None of us need it, and it shouldn't. For the amount of money we've had and spent, we shouldn't be. This should never even be a question. This should be the lowest we'll get 7th.
That's why Arsenal just sacked their manager, because they're like, hang on, we're 7th. We're supposed to be challenging for the top team. But we're a top team. We're supposed to be challenging. It's not, we're in the relegation. If they even got into the bottom half of the table, they'd sack their manager. Spurs the same way.
It's outlook, isn't it?
It's like Spurs are like, we've got a new stadium, we play in the Champions League. This can't continue.
And Emery came in the same time as Silva, didn't he?
Exactly the same time.
So,
I think if you've been 18 months at a club,
so I'm gone. Arsenal changed the manager. Tottenham have changed the manager. Watford have changed the manager twice already.
Yeah.
And those three were struggling. Well, them two were struggling. Arsenal. So
if your manager's been 18 months and he hasn't moved the dial, then it's done. Right, let us know your thoughts in the comments. When is the right time to get rid of him? Let us know. You're probably all shouting right now. It's fair enough. Let us know your thoughts. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.